and this is your Monday Moment. Our focus this morning is on improving how you're leading remotely. Because whether you've had employees in multiple countries for years and you all have been communicating digitally and are well ahead of the curve, or as of a couple of weeks ago, working from your kitchen table, the table in your bedroom, or from a beautifully well-organized office in your home is your new normal, leading remotely is all, at least for now, our new normal. And there's something to be said for the fact that after the invasive nature of the disruption from COVID-19 and this pandemic, that the way of work that we used to consider normal may not ever be the same again. So no matter how long you anticipate leading remotely, there is hope and potential for improvement. Let's look at 3 ways in which you can quickly improve how you're doing this in no matter what kind of environment you're doing it. First step, engage in over-communication. Over-communication is particularly important in times of crisis, in times of significant change, in times when the change is not only significant, but constant. Every 5 minutes, it seems like. That over-communication is also important when there's something completely new and different. Many teachers now have been thrust into an environment where they didn't sign up to be a virtual educator. They signed up to be in that classroom. Well, we're all learning, hence the change of venue. We're learning how to do things differently, how to become an early adopter, how to manage stress, how to be adaptable, and yes, how to do remote teaching, training, communicating, and leadership. That means your role and responsibility now looks different. Communicate to them how you will now lead. What do you expect of them in the way of joining a webinar early? Hopping on Zoom, what do they do if it's crashing? How do you expect them to communicate with each other? Is it mainly text, phone call, voicemail? Is it now through instant messenger? What do you expect of them in the way of consistent battery charge? Or how they come dressed to a video conference? Back when I was doing broadcasting, and that was my career aspiration, it was a new joke. The broadcasters wore a nice top and shorts and tennis shoes on the bottom. This is now a thing, but you have to communicate with them how to handle it. Not to mention, communication looks like creating some sort of structure. One is having everyday huddles with the team, particularly when there's crisis looming or currently overlapping all of your workflow and that of your customers. It also means touching base one-on-one with each team member in some communication medium daily. Now the stress, the crisis, or the anxiety may warrant additional communication, but you want to share with them any new messages to the point that the response you get is, yeah, we got it, you told us. And then tell them one more time. Next to over-communication is a second step that has some overlap and similarities, but is different. Step 2, develop repetitive patterns. Maybe in your morning huddle, where your effort to over-communicate first begins, you have that morning huddle at 8 a.m. Eastern every day from now through the foreseeable future. Maybe you touch base with Harry at 3 p.m., Susie at 2 p.m., Irene at 1, and Bob at 5. And that becomes something people can count on. It becomes an element of constancy and, or for some, stability. You see, some of those you lead remotely are going to need stability, constancy, and security. And in the face of such tumultuous change and activity, that can be hard to find at times. Your repetitive patterns will be an element they cling to like a buoy in the middle of a storm-filled ocean. But also it gives you more energy to think about the other things that may be happening that are unexpected. Develop repetitive patterns for your team huddles, your one-on-ones, for the way in which you communicate urgent information. Perhaps there's even a system, DEFCON 1, DEFCON 2, red, green, yellow. Developing these kinds of systems will add structure to chaos. And when you can add structure to chaos, it gives you more energy, well, to handle the chaotic. Third way, for you to improve your ability to conduct effective remote leading, I'm going to call it give yourself permission. In these times of high stress, and we've been in them for a while now, but it seems we may have more coming. It's appropriate, powerful, and important for you to give yourself permission to take a break when you need one, to not have things be perfect, to allow for more consistent interruptions. This new definition of co-workers, including pets, fur babies, and children, is right now being met with a tremendous amount of heartwarming tolerance and grace. I'd suggest that's something we continue. Maybe it's time in so many ways that we give ourselves permission to look at the big picture, to look at what really matters, to look at, as Stephen Covey used to say, the big rocks in your bucket. Give yourself permission and try to avoid the mounting up of frustration, the building up of resentment, or just the right on the surface anger about things that at one point were minimal, maybe even normal, and now might be that straw that is a little too heavy for that camel. Give yourself permission to take that break when you need to turn off the webcam when you're not feeling it, and maybe to eat that Oreo or two when you don't quite have the motivation or discipline that you thought you did. All is not lost. It's a matter of stress. And in the face of learning, again, by choice or by force, sometimes there's little bandwidth for much else. We're learning at an unprecedented pace. We're being forced into things that we never expected. And if you're not an early adopter who loves the speed of change, it's quite likely you've screamed into a pillow or two in the recent days. But as we settle in, we can remember, even in the face of change, there's opportunity to learn something. Maybe it's learning about yourself. Maybe it's learning about, as that woman on Facebook, the power of putting a kid in a Spider-Man costume. Maybe it's learning to maintain our sense of humor. And for today, may it also be learning to improve how you are providing exceptional, remote and or virtual leadership. I'm Monica Wofford, and that's your Monday Moment. Have a great week, an even better Monday. And yes, of course, remember, your leadership, it is still contagious.